Hi, it's Joanne from Muddaritaville Studio. I'm going to do a quick demo today on our DIY paddle kit. These paddle kits come with a set of decorative stencils. There's 4 stencils that come with the kit that you can use to embellish your design on your paddle. And then there are a number of different sayings or components that can be used to personalize your paddle. So I am going to start today. My saying on this one is going to be home sweet home. I have painted this out in Fusion Mineral Paint little teapot, and I will be using Midnight Blue and Picket Fence, I believe, for my accents. I have my paint off the camera. I'll just show this here. I often put my paint on a piece of scrap stencil mylar or on a styrofoam plate, and I use that to then load onto my paintbrush. Anyway, I am going to start. I'll take this off here. I'm going to do that a little bit later in the... I think I'm going to start with some picket fence, and I'm actually going to put this down here. And whoops, I'm gonna tape it in place. Now, I like to do what's called hinge my stencil. And what that means is if I just tape it across the top, I can then lift and check to see how my coverage is. I just want to line this up a little bit better because these stencils have been made to basically fit, but I want it right down the bottom, to fit the paddle. In some cases, they're a tiny bit larger. Anyway, the key to a successful stencil project is to use very little paint. Right now, just off camera, I'm loading up my stencil brush with picket fence. I then use a paper towel where I offload the excess paint. And just when you think you need to be reloading your paintbrush, that's when you have right about the right amount of paint on your brush. And we'll start here. I'm going to paint this area white. I like to swirl when I'm doing a project on wood. So I basically and I've got this brush is shedding. These are my favorite brushes. They're no longer available in the market, and they are starting to feel their wear. I've had these for, 8 years. I do love them. Now, when I work my way around a stencil, I like to actually just, when I'm in the area, I hold it down or press it down onto the wood. You could use a stencil adhesive, but this works just as well, and you can get around your project a lot faster. Stencil adhesive can be mucky. Okay, so that's my first little accent. Very subtle. What else am I going to do in white? I want to do something else in white to balance this. I think I'll put this little compass rose up here, and I'll do that in white also. There's no right or wrong way to do these. Just have some fun. That's probably still good. Now, if you really want to experiment, you can play around with these by doing a bit of a drop shadow also, where you can do one layer of paint and then you can come back with your stencil and basically sort of up and over and paint another color. It's a really nice technique. I'll come back on here another day maybe and do a project with that. Okay, I am going to move now to Midnight Blue, and I'm going to put my saying on first, being Home Sweet Home. And I'll just come on and that. Oops. Okay, I loaded too much paint on. Now, like I've mentioned, you want to offload a lot of your paint, and really just when you think your brush needs to be reloaded, that's when the right amount of paint is on your brush. And it's always easier to come back and add more paint, but if you have too much paint on, then the best way to fix that is to distress or remove some by sanding. So here we go. And again, I'm going to move my hand. I use different techniques when stenciling, but typically when I'm stenciling on wood, I use this swirling technique, and it gives a very nice, what I call airbrush type effect. And I may even leave this a little bit light on the bottom, and I'm just going to lift this to show you why I do this hinge effect. You see, what looked like I wasn't putting enough paint on is quite light down the bottom, but I like that look. It doesn't look heavy, so I'm going to leave that like that. Now, I want to come on here now, and I'm going to do some lines. I'm just going to do some straight lines down the bottom here over top of this white triangular area. This is a great project to get the kids involved in too. I love seeing some of the projects that kids are doing with these DIY kits. They're just so creative. I think they've not reached the point of wanting to have everything perfect, so they actually can come up with some really great ideas. Okay, so again, I'm going really, really light. I didn't even load any more paint onto this brush. Sometimes I feel that gives it almost an aged, like the paint is wearing off. It's an older piece. And I love that look. So you can see there's not a lot of coverage, but I'm good with that. So I'm going to take that off. And now I think I want to do something on the handle. I think I'll just do some more striping up on the handle. And I think I might come back with a little bit more white. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cover over this area here. Now, whenever I have a tight area in my stencil and I want to paint it a different color, you can do this. You can apply some tape. Another thing that I do is I will take a piece of cardboard and work it around the stencil and block the area. Okay, so that probably didn't make sense, but again, maybe I'll do another tutorial showing that. So again, very, very light. And that's all I'm going to do in that area. I'm going to cover this now and come back and paint some white in that center stripe. And that's that. Probably could do with a little bit more. Maybe I will come over this with a bit of the dark blue. This is usually when you should be saying to yourself, okay, stop,